BOE.
First ban Tassadar. Wow. I think that the struggle of last game was like, listen, we don't want to. Here's the thing. Tassadar is actually not good on this map. Like, he doesn't really contribute a lot to the Immortal fights. Yes, it can pair with certain heroes, but most of the heroes that Tassadar pairs with don't really go that well on this map. This has got to be a Li Ming pickup.
Yeah, Li Ming is just so much guaranteed poke. Grandmaster Jackets plays beautifully with her. But if you look at Vala and the way that she has changed, even though Tassadar is off the table, she could be considered here instead. I think we'll see one or the other for sure.
That is true. That is true. Vala does add quite a significant wrinkle into a lot of things. I personally prefer Li Ming on this map because if you get on that part where the Immortal you have to attack is on the opposite side of your friendly side, then all of a sudden, like, you're like, I got to poke out of this. Or I can outpoke the enemy team, and nobody can do about it. Obviously, a little bit of RNG factors in there, but you know what? Throw all the rules out. Let's go Zeratul, first pick.
One thing we see some of the Asian teams do with Vala that I like a lot is they run a Monster Hunter build. They spec into Hungry Arrow, and they go Monster Hunter, and they get the reset. But not what we're going to be seeing here out of Grandmaster Jackets. Zeratul Li Ming Burst City 2016.
The Zeratul pick is interesting. Like, it's not a popular hero on this map. It does work.
Insomnia is so good with him, though.
It just BOE, man. There's certain rules you're allowed to bend, and there's certain ones to break. Zeratul breaks a lot of stuff when you talk about VP, and if you have the combo and you have the follow-up and you play it properly. You know, it's a high-risk, high-reward hero. Vala being a pickup here, Vox Nihili makes a lot of sense. As you said, you need that good sustained damage. Zarya being picked up. Now, Zarya is interesting in the sense that you have to be able to get that energy, else your Immortal fighting suffers drastically.
It does. But there's the Vala. There's the Zarya. Pretty just middle of the road, leaving it flexible. Strong draft for the early part here out of Vox. Now into the next bands. Grandmaster Jackets.
The craziest part about drafting, especially our top 4 teams, and if you get onto a global stage, is like the priority of Muradin. And it has just not been a priority at all in a lot of these games. And it's not necessarily surprising. It's just, I guess it's not what I'm used to when you start to look at where he falls globally at super high levels versus where he falls at in a traditional, I guess, in a regional meta. And that's the thing.
The regional metas. NA's meta clearly the strongest.
I think that's the general consensus across the globe.
Everyone agrees?
And by globe, I mean, well, probably nobody. Thrall being banned out by Grandmaster Jackets. They recognize Vox plays that hero a lot, and they play it pretty effectively.
You know,
Earthquake, man.
With what they have, I think that's actually really smart. And you also just talk about the race potential, you know, when it comes to just the pure, you know, damage up Thrall can put on, given those opportunities. Vox could still go Tyrande with what they have, but I actually don't think we're going to see Tyrande at all in this draft. I'd love to. It's a hero we don't see a lot of. I know Dread absolutely hates Tyrande. Brightwing makes a lot of sense, though. You've already got Malf. Brightwing commonly considered the next best support. Take her away. Tassadar's not an option either, so they're going to be going lone support. Karazim, Rhaegar, Uther.
I think Rhaegar is pretty popular just because of his dual.
Ooh, could be medic if it's hammer.
I mean, there's not a ton of threat right now. If you take Thrall off the board, who's going to get to that backside?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to hold it.
It's a medic draft, I think.
If there's no threat, then yeah.
Wow, hammer. Getting a lot of play in this tournament. And now Vox have their last 2 picks. So they've got sustained damage. They need a little bit more burst. They need something to deal with that Zeratul. They want to be able to punish him a little bit more freely. Double Warrior, very likely, could be okay.
This makes Morales a lot scared to pick up.
For sure.
It also makes Sergeant Hammer a little bit more, I don't want to say more troublesome. I mean, depending on positioning and where you go, like Alarak, it's really hard for him to land his telekinesis. I mean, sometimes we see Hammer siege up behind the little
behind the wall,
the terrain there. And so
Meredith, I love this. This gives you
solid draft.
Like Zeratul got to be so safe. Like if you get comboed by Alarak Meriden and one Hungering Arrow hits, it's all it takes.
They're going Morales anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's still the best option. If Rhaegar could self Ancestral, I think he'd see a lot more play. But right now, he'd be too much of a risk without self Ancestral to pick in this draft. Too many scary things, even with the wolf form. I also think Rhaegar saw a bit of a nerf. We don't see him like at all anymore.
I think it's more scary than Morales? I'd be terrified if I was Morales.
She can summon a medevac at least. Like, typically you just use that as a, like, please save me. Like, you don't, in these kind of...
The way I say, so it's always really difficult to, like, just walk into a Hammer. Like, it's super, you don't just walk in. If she sieges up, you just don't walk in and say, I'm good. And so the hardest thing is to make up that distance. Zarya with their personal barrier, Alarak with the shield from Zarya, and Muradin able to dwarf toss in. There's a little bit of a threat there. A little bit of a threat.
Certainly is, and that's what it's all about. These teams drafted their hearts out. I think both of them have a ton of potential. Got to remember, when it comes to PvE, Sergeant Hammer is fine, but Vala Alarak, they're going to be doing a ton of damage here. So, game number 3, tournament point here as far as Grandmaster Jackets are concerned.
Fox Nihili wants to stay alive. This is it. They don't have any more opportunities to drop a game, and we are going to see Grandmaster Jackets. They are up 2-0. It's going to be Collusion on Lieutenant Morales, Zugrug on Johanna, Nazmas on Sergeant Hammer, Insomnia, as you called it, on Zeratul, and Dansky on Li Ming.
Their opponents in the red, trying to stay alive so they do not have to play in another qualifier. That's Vox Nihili. How going to be playing the Alarak? We've got Vala, played by Hosty, Daihu on the Muradin, Zeus on the Zarya, and Lex Luthor playing Malfurion, looking mighty green right now.
Well, we do see the Demolitions expert again out for Zarya, hopefully looking for some easy targets to finish that quest. Very valuable. We're going to see how well he can stack that up. It's going to be Zeus. I thought Zeus had normally been playing... Oh, I guess he's been playing kind of that off-warrior role, hasn't he?
Yeah, very much a flex player. All right, well, they are sieged up. They just want to get the safe clear without having to worry about suffering any damage. The thing when you siege up with Hammer... Ooh, all right, a lot of damage going in immediately. But what I was going to say is the thing is when you siege up on Hammer, the splash damage is actually a nice little opportunity for Zeus to try to step in there and build energy. And all the different tools that Zarya can find to build energy are, well, resources.
It's crazy. He walked in there. He's like, thank you. I'll take this.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a weird thing to look at, but it definitely is something you want to maximize as Zarya. I mean, half energy already.
Just that, yeah. 20 seconds away from our first Immortal phase. We're going to see, is it going to be a race? Is one team going to try and defend against the other? You got to think that if it came down to a true race, and if Zarya is not stacked on energy, that's got to be going over to Grandmaster Jack.
I agree. And Zarya doesn't really get energy all that efficiently off the Punisher battles or the Immortal battles. So if they hold their fire against her in a lot of the like standoff phases, those, her poke is negligible, really.
Well, there it is. We're going to see how safely Nazmas can posture up, as well as Li Ming on what she can do. See a little bit of a defense going on right now on the side.
Daihu going deep, though. Zarya bubble. Nice combo from Alarak. Good Iron Skin there, though.
Good Iron Skin. The posture up right now, just trying to protect for the time being. This is not exactly what I expected to see during this first phase, and you can see Alarak and Zeratul on the mini-map. They're soaking up those lanes in the meantime, recognizing they don't want to get behind and give up that level 4 advantage.
Zeus has got a bit of farm. It's going to make his poke valuable. I say farm, I mean his energy. They're doing their best to just get as much damage as they can, and it's actually been pretty effective so far.
The thing about it is when you're Hammer, you're a stationary target. Right now, Zeus is just throwing those particle grenades in.
Oh, the combo.
The combo.
Murden throws a Storm Bolt, expecting Sergeant Hammer to move, but he actually held his place, working out brilliantly. Now Daihu nearly falls. That Vorpal Blade going on in, or maybe it was a Blake almost getting the Void Slash to kill Daihu, but not quite.
Well, level 4 picked up. We're going to see if they opt to try and posture in a little bit. Collusion a little bit low on mana. That's the problem when you have these drawn-out fights and you take a lot. Yes, Morales lends a lot of heals, but it eats up a lot of mana in the meantime.
Yeah, she's gone back to base. I don't think they've acknowledged this quite yet, as they're playing very safe, making sure to hold their own. But Alarak is soaking in the bottom lane. Zeratul managing to soak the top in his stealth. But Zeus has not stopped poking. The orb comes in, giving him some more energy once again. The multi-shot also connecting on the Immortal, and they're just slowly working it down.
They're working it on. You see the combo again, hitting Hammer, forcing Collusion, who's already down a bit in mana. Eventually, something's going to have to break. So far, this combination of Grandmaster Jackets has not accomplished anything.
Well, it only takes one kill to give Li Ming the resets, though, and that's something that Vox are well aware of. You see the caution in their play. They're just poking very safely. Halftime show, one Hungering Arrow away, there it is.
That's just way too easy.
I totally thought that was 50%. I feel baited.
I did too, only because you moved the camera like it would be in game. All right, I mean, think about it. The particle grenades from Zeus, yes, Zarya doesn't have a ton of energy, but it's free. It is free damage.
It is free damage. Costs nothing, except your cooldown, which is quite short. Lex Luthor, pretty low on resources right now. Far from optimal, and you see Insomnia already getting some damage done. Holds the blank. Daihu goes into the Dwarf Toss. No committal towards the Storm Bolt. But this is going to be a lot easier for him to poke. He's going back to base for mana. I don't know if Lex is already capped well. He must have.
This is not the strategy I expected. And Zarya continuing to stack, almost done stacking her Q, her questing talent. And when you hit level 7, pinpoint accuracy, the damage, and when you have a stationary hammer, you're going to start taking some serious shots. And they're going to be coming real quick because of that level 1
Look at the damage now already. Just because he's got the energy from that Sergeant Hammer, Johanna just fills him up. All right, boys, let's throw some big balls out and get some big damage done.
I mean, Zarya's just soaking it up and filling that energy bar, and you can see just splashing the damage away. Sergeant Hammer keeps sieging up, but I don't understand this at all, Jake. Yeah. The questing talent for Zarya is done. 5.5 minutes in, has now hit 40 particle grenades.
They're just fueling Zeus so much, and this is inevitably going to go to the side of Vox Nihili. They're moving on forward, and that's going to be the end of this phase. Very long first Immortal phase. They managed to do about 40% of the DPS. Not too shabby. But here we go.
So Demolition's expert, the cooldown of particle grenades is now 4 seconds, and the radius is increased by 15%. That is serious splash damage, and pinpoint accuracy at 7, which I assume will be the likely one, especially against Hammer. That damage is going to be ridiculous.
It's not going to feel good, that's for sure. Wall goes down just like that. Alarak will win the lane versus Zeratul for the most part in the bottom half. And this fort is actually in a bad spot.
And normally you don't see this much value in a first Immortal, but the fact that it went on so long means that the longer the game goes on, the stronger the Immortal becomes.
True.
That's going to be the first fort of the game.
There it goes. Now, I mean, compositionally, once level 10 is picked up, they do have a good potential to seclude, pick up kills. Li Ming goes to town. Li Ming, Zeratul, once that gets rolling in a team fight, especially with Hammer potentially being able to finish off targets, I think there's like a lot of potential, but they are going to be on the backside going into this mid game. I mean, if they lose this well before the next Immortal phase, and it's a similar fight where it's drawn out and they're just slowly, passively poking, putting the pressure on with Zarya, I mean, not having those wells is going to be a huge problem.
It is, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a priority to just instantly push in this lane with the team. We do see Li Ming on the minimap starting to rotate down with Sergeant Hammer. That should help defend a little bit. But Jake, as you called it early in the game, Vala is going into that Hungering Arrow build. Repeating Arrow picked up at level 7.
Yeah, I actually had to check the counts at all. Monster Hunter plus puncturing and then repeating. It's so much damage in a short period of time. We see some of the Chinese and Korean teams do this. Haven't seen a lot of it in the Western teams, but Hosty has to be careful. Can't really do damage to Immortals if he's dead.
Well, we do see a good defense down here at the bottom. We're going to see a rotation back towards these camps, the Bruiser camp, the Fallen Shaman camps. These are pretty important because they can resurrect those dog beast thingies. As a Diablo guy, I should know this, but
they're dogies.
Dogies. Well, both teams grabbing that. It's going to force a response, and we look at the experience. Level 10 getting a little bit closer for Vox Nihili right now.
I just realized the level of fraudulence you just displayed. You're like a Diablo YouTuber back in the day, and you don't know what those dog beasts are called.
Dogies.
Okay, well, we are now into that second Immortal phase. 10 will be here first on the side of Vox. What do they do with it?
Oh, I mean, they're posturing up for defense. The roots just missed, but level 10's about to be picked up, and we're going to see absolutely nothing that Grandmaster Jackets can do if level 10's picked up and they opt to engage. Does
just soaking? Yeah, that helps. All the Rex also soaking bottom. 10's here.
They're about to give up free damage right now, though.
Counter-strike.
Nazmas is stuck in a weird spot.
Yeah, he is. Okay, they're looking. A cleanse was used there, and that's Morales in a bad spot. The damage being attempted. Good knockback with the displacement grenade, but the strafe will find its kill.
Feels bad, man. Like they put themselves in a tough spot. I said the minute 10 was going to hit, they were probably going to engage, and as soon as they hit 10. They went all in and got a free kill. And
look at that damage. Like, this Vala build and somewhat energized Zarya. Oh, you don't want to siege up there, buddy. Goodbye.
There's that particle grenade securing the kill. Counter.
Oh, that counter-strike was dirty.
Wow, 2 people just get instantly deleted, and this is going to be another big shield. That's going to be a 3rd kill. Void Prison will not save Johanna there, so a waste of a very big cooldown.
Yeah, that's like struggle snuggle worthy. That I mean, the siege when you don't have your support ready, immediate blow up. The roots were just cookie cutter. Just put him out there, lock that target in. There's no way he's going to escape. Can't cleanse him without medic, of course. And then the VP not having that for 70 more seconds with this big, beefy Punisher on his way down here.
This fort does not last. It's a matter of does the keep go down with it. You can see how positioning up, looking to try and land a combo. Now that they have the minions here, now that they have the Immortal here, the posturing starting to come up behind that fort.
All right, here's the true test. Can they keep this keep alive? 60% of the shields remain. Hammer, phenomenal wit in these situations when you're defending. Stimtron actually used to amplify the damage output towards that Immortal. Dahu needs to be careful.
They're just now getting the shields down.
Yeah, I mean.
So for those that aren't familiar with it, when the shield goes down, the Immortal moves into melee range, making it much easier to deal damage to, as we see Insomnia getting caught out. Zeus, max energy, man. It's just destroying them.
Yeah, that's...
Zarya tops damage on the team, by the way. More than Vala.
Wow. I mean...
But it's been free damage. Yeah, Vala went Q build, but still.
Yeah, it's a Q build for the PvE. Regardless. I mean, you look at Zarya. She's a tank ranged assassin all in one.
I love Zarya. I think her kit is so good and fits so many compositions. We've been seeing a lot more of her competitively.
Who's swoller, Zarya or that last Immortal?
That shield, Zarya.
Zarya. Swollest hero in the game, confirmed. Okay, I mean, this is Palantir advantage, control in every regard. I mean, sure, they're up 2-0, but this game is very much in the hands of Vox.
They have had such huge shields on the Immortal that it just seems like Grandmaster Jackets hasn't done much of anything. The fact that they have so many people committed to the bottom lane, this call They're going to get an entire wall and back out. Maybe they'll get just one tower.
Watch for the VP, though.
No, there's
Down to
no
talent.
follow-up.
Well, they're here. They're here.
They're just on point. Vox Nihili. Whoa,
That was actually,
almost got you.
That would have been a big deal because Daihu could have turned Storm bolted. That would have bought enough time for the roots, probably. And yeah, I mean, that could be a keep wall at that point.
Priority on the bruiser camps, the shaman and the doggies. One more time, got to be pushing those lanes, got to be up to the rest of the, but you now have the threat of catapults as we see Insomnia pushing that out. If those fights drag on like we saw, so we have a quick pause there. If those fights drag on,
You fixed that cable, Jay.
If those fights drag on the same way that first one did, catapults will win the game, or it's going to force you to back, and then you're in a tough spot.
We got some lag if problems.
Some lag if problems.
Yeah, sorry guys. We're gonna get the lag if resolved. Well, they're gonna get the lag if resolved. I can't like give them bandwidth, or I think
Jake works for the ISP company. Confirmed.
I think the earlier part of the stream confirms otherwise. Here we go, back into the game as the 3-2-1 is there, and we are into the next Immortal phase. Hello, zooming on into Daihu to say just to say hi.
It's not the 3-2-3.
It's the LAG.
Maybe they're just afraid that they're not going to win these fights. Zeratul is down, clearing the minion wave, giving up the Immortal shield / damage once again. I'm really starting to wonder where the Zeratul fits into their composition, because it hasn't done anything to me so
I agree.
far.
I agree. I mean, even the Void Prisons have not done
They first picked
anything.
it, didn't they?
I think it was the first rotation, correct, yeah. Well, Zeratul's going to go clean up the top lane. The poke continues from Zeus there on Zarya. They're already in the advantageous position, about 40% remaining on that health bar. Shield just expired before that orb, so no energy for Zeus. Small mistake, I guess, but just going to drag things out a bit longer.
He is just soaking up that energy. Pinpoint accuracy, splash damage. It's just doing so much work as Zarya. Got that max zoom going on, get a good look at the battlefield, and right now, just nothing is happening between Sergeant Hammer and Li Ming to really turn the tides here.
They're trying to collapse on Lex Uther. Roots plays perfectly. Now Lex Uther has to run all the way around, though. Insomnia on the case, Bless Shield, getting a lot of DPS done. That is the VP that you need, because Zeus is low, the self-shielding, but it's not enough.
It's nowhere near enough. They haven't been able to do anything, as we see the stem drone was used as well. So they're getting a bit of immortal damage. They're down in terms of damage. They're probably going to retreat the same way that they did before.
Stormbolt used. The roots will not be enough to connect. Ice Block spent on the backside just to keep Insomnia at bay. But Dansky and Nazmas have started to put that pressure on, and they got the Immortal below 50% for the first time in this game.
Everybody has such low mana that Morales is now dropping back, and if we see, look at the side of Vox Nihili, all full mana. You see all that energy on Zeus, who's continuing to go in. See Zugrug, though, in a bad spot.
Yeah, that Immortal's falling quick. You see the power of Monster Hunter there on Vala Hosty, just going in, again, vaulting just to get the reset on the Hungering Arrow. That's going to make quick work of this Immortal top lane. You're going to be under heavy siege. Already has taken a ton of damage.
I'm struggling to see Zeratul in this composition. Now, the reason you see struggles is you have Li Ming that is poke. It's being soaked up by Zarya shields because it's predictable. It's a long distance and it's predictable. So a lot of that damage is, one, being soaked, and two, it just gets healed up. You can poke all day as Zarya, which we've seen so far, and then you just don't have anything to worry about on your end. There's no threat to your team at all between Zarya and Malfurion.
It's true, and you've seen it throughout the game. Even that VP, which was actually quite good for the team, unable to capitalize. With this Immortal level 16 advantage, the keep is going to go down. A beautiful combo from like the Twilight Dream. The last hit, not enough from Zarya. So close to getting Hammer there.
This Immortal has so much health that they might just push in and try and end the game. They're posturing up, Zugrug going in, but we see Hammer get drugged right into that and get instantly blown up. VP used on the backside. How though?
How does he do it? He said, okay, well, Lex Uther gonna ice block to get through the
They have to turn on the Immortal.
Shield at the last moment. Shields are down on the core. Daihu swapping focus, going for it. Lex Uther super low, getting that heal. Not going to be enough as the burst damage of Zeratul is too much, but I don't think they can stay alive. Game 4 is on its way.
I mean, as much as you want to kill the enemy team to keep